This is Eddie Muller welcoming you back to Noir Alley. Today I've got for you one of the best titled films of the noir era, Nocturne, produced at RKO in 1946. The biggest year ever at the box office for American movies, the official start of the baby boom, and the highest watermark yet in the rising tide of what would become known as film noir. One of the most intriguing talents involved in fomenting that tide was producer Joan Harrison. It seemed almost inevitable that she'd produce films at RKO, the House of Noir. She entered the movie business in her native England as a secretary for director Alfred Hitchcock. Soon, however, her storytelling acumen and taste for murder and mystery made her a valued collaborator in the development of Hitchcock's screenplays. She became so essential to the director that when Alfred and his wife Alma sailed to America in 1937, Harrison went with them, listed on the passenger registry as a member of the family. Her contributions to his films Rebecca, Foreign Correspondent, Suspicion, and Saboteur were so significant, Hitchcock insisted she receive screen credit. And pretty soon, some wags in the press were speculating that this bright, attractive young woman might be the real brain behind the master of suspense. Well, that's when she and Hitchcock amiably parted ways, and Joan Harrison became one of the few female producers in the movie business, and the only one working exclusively on the dark side of the street. Her first film, Phantom Lady, was a popular and influential triumph, especially significant for ushering Robert Siodmak into a genre where he'd become the preeminent director. Her follow-up film at Universal, The Strange Affair of Uncle Harry, also directed by Siodmak, should have been another classic. When studio executives rejected the picture's shocking ending, which was the reason Harrison chose the project in the first place, she walked out on a potential multi-year production deal to test the waters as a freelancer. That's when she landed at RKO and began work on this movie, Nocturne. From deep in the files, Harrison pulled an original story concocted by Roland Brown, one of Hollywood's best idea men, and the director of a couple of quirky pre-code crime classics, Quick Millions and Blood Money. Now, there's also a story credit for the always reliable Frank Fenton, but I'm not sure who did what in this case. The studio may have respected Harrison's talent and her meteoric rise through the ranks, but they'd immediately put her to the test. Her RKO debut would be a vehicle for George Raft, who was essentially the film's executive producer. Raft had bought himself out of his contract at Warner's and was looking to rekindle his career as a tough guy star after some bad decisions had dimmed his luster. He'd turned down High Sierra, The Maltese Falcon, and Double Indemnity. Now, complicating matters was that Raft only worked with personally picked directors, in this case, Edwin L. Marin. The team had manufactured a surprise hit for RKO the previous year, Johnny Angel, in which Claire Trevor saved the day, reacting to Raft's patented tight-lipped tough guy act. Well, Harrison was undaunted by working with a star as inflexible and controlling as Raft. Her smartest move was hiring screenwriter Jonathan Latimer to turn Brown and Fenton's story into a polished screenplay. Now, you may recall my praise for Latimer's work on The Big Clock, last week's Noir Alley offering. The whodunit plot of Nocturne was right in the writer's wheelhouse, as he'd created his own series of detective novels featuring a hard-drinking private eye named Bill Crane. In a switcheroo, Latimer made Raft's hard-nosed detective a milk-drinking mama's boy, a wrinkle that Raft embraced. For him, this represented range. Now, audiences at the time cracked up at the mama's boy gag. The public was well aware of Raft's shady reputation, his life being a whirlwind of dames, racehorses, and nightclubs, often in the company of real-life gangsters like his pal, Bugsy Siegel. The gag also gave a lot of screen time to the veteran actress playing his mother, Mabel Page. Latimer's script employs a strategy emblematic of the best American detective stories. The solution is less important than the hunt. Keep the action moving, change scenery often, fill it up with colorful characters spouting whip-crack dialogue. Latimer obviously enjoyed this assignment, and he gleefully pays tribute to and satirizes the snappy patter that hard-boiled crime fiction and the movies had made so popular by 1946. This production also benefits from RKO's finest craftsmen. Cinematographer Harry Wilde does a super job, from the sensational opening shot through a nocturnal tour of Los Angeles locations, capturing the city at the height of its mid-century style. Co-starring Lynn Barry, a.k.a. the girl with the $1 million figure, and featuring the big screen debuts of Virginia Houston and Joe Pevney, here is Nocturne.